What's going on, guys? Open hand here. So, a couple weeks ago, I made a video talking about my kind of DPS AOE Paladin build, and I figured I would make an updated version because I've finally got all the gear that I was after. Now, to be honest, not much has changed. I still use the exact same specializations, but this will be probably a bit more focused just on gear in general. If you want a little bit more explanation on, skill specializations and rotation and all that stuff, I would suggest that you check out my previous video. I'll go over it a little bit in here just for the people who haven't seen my other video. I have a general idea, what's going on, but if you really want like an in-depth take, I would suggest checking out my previous video. But quickly, the idea was, when I started playing this game, I decided I wanted to play Greatsword and Wand. I thought it'd be really cool to, be really, really tanky and, do a lot of damage and stuff. So I tried to come up with some kind of build that would make sense. Now, granted, obviously Greatsword 1 is not in any way, really in the meta. So I thought it'd be fun to try to make up something that worked, and this is what I came up with. The idea was that there was a lot of AoE in the Wand class and a lot of AoE in the Paladin class, so I thought it'd be kind of cool to take advantage of that, along with spreading a lot of curses and using stuff like Vampiric Contract to constantly heal myself. And so far, I've really enjoyed it. It's been working pretty well. I actually uploaded a gameplay video the other day, which I will link in the description if you want to see this build in action. But with that said, I will just quickly go through the skills. I'm using Cruel Smite, Touch of Despair, Frost Cleaving, Stunning Blow, Guillotine Blade, Death Blow. And down here got Enchanting Time, Fine Spirit Barrier, and Willbreaker. A lot of the idea was that these buffs are absolutely massive, and I thought it'd be really cool to use these buffs in conjunction with just a ton of AoE. So that's what I do. Basically, before every fight, I will use Enchanting Time, Fine Spirit Barrier, and Willbreaker to basically buff myself and debuff the enemies, and then just spam out all my AoEs and blow stuff up as quickly as possible. After that, I have Corrupted Magic Circle, Curse Explosion, and I got Swift Healing at the end here because Swift Healing in general is just a really, really good skill, and it's, as I said in my previous video, always nice to have a quick, efficient heal in your back pocket. For the passives, I'm using Robust Constitution, Vital Force, Cold Warrior, Race Beacon, Devotion and Emptiness, Raging Frenzy, obviously, since we're, focused on AoE damage here. Indomitable Armor, a really good one. Again, like I said in my other video, I like to kind of run into a big pack of enemies, buff up, use Willbreaker, so I'm getting hit a lot, so Indomitable Armor actually does increase my survivability quite a bit, which is nice. And then lastly, Vampiric Contract, which was a lot of the reason that I wanted to try to make a build like this, because this ability just seemed insanely good to me. And again, if you're hitting a bunch of enemies that have curses on them, you're going to heal for just so much, so it's just really cool, really cool ability, and I want to try to make it work with this build. For the skill specializations here, I take Cruel Smite, which turns Valiant Brawl into an AoE if you land a heavy attack or crit. For Stunning Blow, I'm taking the skill cooldown decrease and the increased skill damage. And then for Death Blow, I'm simply taking the charge. For Gaia Crush, I'm taking Frost Cleaving, which turns it into basically a circular AoE, which is really, really nice and does quite a bit more damage. For Willbreaker, I'm taking the damage area change, makes it a full circle instead of a semicircle. And for Guillotine Blade, I'm taking everything, which would be the charge, the cooldown reduction, and the AoE damage. Now for the wand here, I'm taking everything in Touch of Despair. Radius increase will make it so Touch of Despair will spread to up to 3 targets, which is nice. And I'm taking the increased effect duration, which will obviously do more damage, but the way that Curse Explosion works is that it takes into account the duration of your curses. So the more duration you have on it, the more damage Curse Explosion will do. And then I'm also taking Curse, which is a 50% chance to apply 2 stacks of Touch of Despair. Now the way this works, which I explained in my other video, is that with Radius increase is that there's a 50% chance for each of the 3 targets to apply 2 stacks of Touch of Despair. So that is very nice. I am taking consecutive use for Swift Healing just for a little bit more sustain if I need it. Enchanting time, I'm making it so it targets myself, obviously, so I can buff. Find Spirit, or Fighting Spirit Barrier, I'm making it so increase my max damage again, so I can do more damage. For Curse Explosion, I'm taking Dark Explosion, which basically reduces the initial burst damage by 50%, but you keep the damage over time. So it's very important because in order to heal, you need to have the damage over time on the targets. So if you use Curse Explosion and don't have this, it will remove the damage over time, therefore you won't be able to heal. So very important trait or specialization there. Damage increase, Touch of Despair, 10% per stack. Again, during my rotation, I'll use Touch of Despair twice, so there's a very high chance that I'll end up with 3 stacks, so this is just quite a bit more damage. And for Corrupted Magic Circle, I take the additional damage when you cast it, which basically just deals like 260% of your base additional damage, which is nice, and obviously can heal from it. You can heavy attack with it, crit, stuff like that. So, all right, now let's get into the new stuff here, the actual gear here. So when I was kind of trying to figure out what gear I wanted to make sure that I got the gear that I would be able to use for pretty much any kind of archetype that I wanted to play. Obviously, this is my my damage setup, but I also play healer, and occasionally I'll play like a tank, so I wanted to get something that would work in all 3 of those setups, and this is what I landed on. I think it works out pretty nicely. Quickly, we'll go over the stat spread here. I was able to get a really pretty nice stat spread with 50 strength, 30 dex, 50 wisdom, and 40 perception. And with the 50 strength, you obviously get the crucial 100 extra heavy attack chance. With the 30 dex, you get the extra crit. Wisdom was an ability I wouldn't say I was like sleeping on, but as I said in my other video, I was still learning a bit back then. And I didn't realize that wisdom actually, while it only increases your max damage, it seems to increase it twice as much as something like strength or perception would. So it's effectively quite a bit more, or quite a bit better than I thought it was initially. So yeah, that along with like all the cooldown speed and mana regeneration that you get from wisdom is actually a really pretty good stat as overall. So getting 50 of this obviously will give me 5% more cooldown speed, which is nice because a lot of these abilities do have pretty lengthy cooldowns. And then also 40 perception, which gives me the additional 5% buff duration along with like 100 hit chance. Buff duration, very important because we are using quite a few self buffs. And yeah, the longer that they last, the better. As far as the gear goes, same weapons as last time, obviously. Aquarius' Tome. I tried to get hit chance, crit chance, and heavy attack chance on this. And Duke Magnus Fury Warblade, same thing. I'll eventually change the stun chance to hit chance, but hit chance, heavy attack, crit. For the actual gear, I decided to go with 2 pieces of the swirling set. As you can see here, I got the hat, and I also have the legs, which will give me a 7.5% increase to duration of curses, which is really nice because the longer the curses last, obviously does more damage, and that also in turn affects how much damage Curse Explosion will do. It was kind of funny. I was like trying to read up on this on like a forum or something, and some guy was freaking out. He's like, "It's not giving me 7.5 extra seconds to curse time." I'm like, "Oh man, could you imagine?" But it's not that. It's actually 7.5%, which is still, it's nice. It's not anything insane, but it's obviously nice to have. But this is pretty easily farmable. I think you can get it with Abyss token currency or something. So pretty much everything here is not too hard to get other than the Band of Universal Power. Again, I mentioned this in my last video. I got super lucky during a weekly, and this dropped, and I decided to keep it. But everything else is either you can farm for, like easy, with just tokens and stuff, or you can buy off the auction house for a relatively reasonable price. The most expensive will be these pants. I think on my server, the average price was like 1,600 or something. Lucent, which is the most expensive piece that I have by quite a bit. And the belt also is something I think this is actually a real drop as well. It goes for average like I think 900 on my server. I was lucky though because I got this for like 500, like the wee hours of the morning. But with that said, Swirling Essence hat. I got the Wisdom, the Weaken Chance, cooldown speed, and the traits. You got the max health, cooldown speed, and I'll probably end up throwing some kind of endurance on this. Supreme Devotion, crit chance, mana regen, cooldown speed. typical stuff there. For traits, I don't know if I'm going to hold on the max mana, but obviously I want the mana regen and I want the skill damage reduction, so eventually I'll get that. Also went for 2 pieces of the Plate of the Field General because I wanted the extra 150 heavy attack chance. So I got the chest and the boots, which, strength, perception, stun chance, max health. I did go buff duration because I'm going to try to, ramp up my buff duration quite a bit just so I could do a little more damage, but I still got quite a ways to go, as you can see. For my gloves, I went with the Ascended Guardian gloves. These are also pretty easy to get. It's got 6 perception and 10.8 mana efficiency. Mana efficiency is very, very nice to have. Again, especially since a lot of time I'm playing healer as well. So since healing is so damn, so damn costly mana-wise, getting mana efficiency was really nice because I got it on my pants and my gloves. So yeah, but if you're not really too worried about mana, you can actually swap these out for the swirling gloves. I forget exactly what they're called, but they have wisdom on there, and they have crit, and I think attack range. And in the trades, you can get attack speed and health, which is pretty nice. But personally, these are just way easier to get, and I do really like the mana efficiency, so I went with the Ascended Guardian gloves. Swirling Essence Pants, again, obviously to complete the 2-piece of the swirling set. And it also has the 8.5 mana efficiency, which is nice. Now, this has weakened chance on it, along with the hat. And I'm not really sure how important weakened chance is, but I've read that it's pretty good to have like at least 350. So with these 2 pieces, we're covered, I think. This build has roughly 400, so if there's any discrepancy there, it should be fine. And then Sabatons of the Field General. It's for the strength and obviously getting the bonus set and everything like that. Movement speed's obviously nice to have. Clasp of the Conqueror, Bracers of the Primal King. I had these in my last video, but just 3 strength, perception, mana regen, and obviously you want to get the max health, skill damage boost, and buff duration. And on the Bracers of the Primal King, max health, skill damage reduction, and I went with debuff duration. I'm not sure how good that's going to be in the long run, but I figure, since I get a little bit of debuff duration from Wisdom, it could be kind of cool to like try to get that where I can, but we'll see. I'm kind of up in the air on if I want to put it on the pants or not, because I might just go for more endurance, but I don't know. We'll see down the road. I also have the Etched Alabaster Band, which gives me some attack speed, strength, and stun chance. Again, you want to obviously get the skill, damage boost, buff duration, and max health. Attack speed is pretty important in this build because it does determine how long it takes you to charge certain skills like Circle of Destruction or your Guillotine Blade. So the more attack speed you can get, the better. And then again, Band of Universal Power, got really, really lucky. Obviously, most people are not going to be able to get this or afford it. But I'm sure there's some replacement you can use that will get relatively close to the stat spread. You might not be able to get the 40 perception, but you can get kind of close, but I'm not really sure. So it might be worth going on like a builder and seeing if you can, find a ring that will work. And then lastly, I have the Girdle of Spectral Skulls. Pretty cheap on my servers, only like 500 Lucent for me. I think, again, I got lucky though, but it's just really hard to find a belt with any kind of stats on it. The only other one I can think of off the top of my head is Belt of Bloodlust, which is obviously ridiculously expensive, so I was not even going to try to get that. So I went with this one instead. It's got 4 decks, range defense, mana regen. It's quite nice. And let's see here, what else? I guess I better do the Masteries, right? Yeah, so for the Masteries, obviously you want to go down the face-off route so you can get the melee heavy attack chance on Greatsword. Now with the additional 6 points, you can kind of do whatever you want. I'm probably going to go up here and just get this stuff because there's defenses, max health, cooldown speed. Can't really go wrong there. And for the wand, same thing. I just go down and get the extra 100 heavy attack chance. Again, the way that it works is, depending on what skill you're using, it will use that weapon's class or weapon's mastery. So if you're healing or using damage over time, it will use this mastery. So it's still really important to get that extra 100 heavy attack chance. And then, right now I grabbed a little bit more base damage and mana regen. Just, I don't really know if mana regen does anything. It might be better just switch to the bonus damage, but again, not too important at the moment. So I think after that, I guess I'll talk about the rotation real quick. I basically do the same thing, but I've basically been throwing in Cruel Smite instead of or in front of the first Touch of Despair, just for a little bit more damage. And the way that the cooldowns work, it just seemed a little bit more efficient. So I'll just go ahead and do it real quick. I'll talk about it after. So that's kind of the rotation there. Again, it's the same kind of thing. So yeah, not much has changed. Basically, what I'll do is, sorry, I'll bring this up. Oh, bring this up real quick. I'll use Enchanting Time, then I'll use Fine Spirit Barrier, then I'll use Willbreaker, and then I will use Cruel Smites, then Touch of Despair, into Frost Cleaving, into Stunning Blow, into Guillotine Blade, into Corrupted Magic Circle, into Touch of Despair, into Curse Explosion, and then I will use Cruel Smite again, and then finally end it with a Death Blow. So again, real quick, let's do it again. And that is basically the rotation. Usually on average against the dummies, they'll do like a little more than 100,000 per rotation. So yeah, damage is not bad. And obviously if you're using Stellarite and food and a bunch of that stuff, you only do more. But I think that's pretty much everything. If I forgot something, I guess I'll leave a comment or something in the description. But if you want to check out the gameplay video, I will leave a link to that. And if you want to check out the prior build video where I'm a little bit more in depth with my explanations, I will also leave that in the description. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.